All right, I've got a new sponsor here, and they're a very reputable company, but this is for adults only. This is not for kids, so kids go do something for a minute. And this is for people 18 and up, I'd say. And it's about Adam and Eve. They've been around a long time, and they want you to know that free stuff is awesome. But free stuff to spice up your bedroom, hey, that's even better. Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff. No double entendres in that. Adam and Eve is America's favorite adult store, offering 100% discreet packaging, shipping, and billing. Upscale specialty boutique for discerning couples, women, and men. Enter offer code SAGET at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts. A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy. And 6 free spicy movies, plus free shipping. That's Saget, S-A-G-E-T, offer code SAGET at checkout at adamandeve.com. Hi, it's Bob here, and it's time for another episode. It's been a year of these. Bob Saget's Here for You, the podcast that will not go away. You can just keep it, just keep playing it. It'll just continue forever. I hope you're doing okay as the world changes and as we slowly come out of the abyss that a lot of us have been in. Sending you guys lots of good thoughts. I have a guest today that I just love. It's Lynn Rajskub, and she is a fantastic actress that you know for many years, from all the way from Mr. Show to Larry Sanders Show to Chloe on 24. Hello. And she has a movie coming out that is coming out July 2nd, and it's a big movie starring Chris Pratt, and it's called The Tomorrow War. And it's coming out on Amazon, and it's a huge budget, amazing movie, and I heard she's just fantastic in it. And I just did a movie with her that's right now called Blue Iguana, might be called Killing Daniel, but that'll be coming out in the fall. And she was in a movie I directed called Benjamin, and I just think the world of her. And you've got to see this special, this stand-up special, live from the pandemic. She did it. It's on Vimeo. You can rent it or you can buy it, download it. She did it in her garage, and it's scored with music, and it's just a very special, it's one continuous shot of her stand-up, and she does it in a live to video fashion, and it's really funny and really smart, and it's why she's beloved. So with no further ado, I'm going to now bring in the wonderful Lynn Rajskub. How are you?
So good. How are you?
I'm great. I love the beautiful tinsel behind you. It's gorgeous.
Thank you. I knew you would appreciate my attention to detail, and because aesthetic goes a long way.
It does, and it shows. Only an international film and television superstar would have that. I mean, and with the blue sport coat and the gorgeous, I don't know, is that lame? What do you call it? Is that is that a necklace, or is that part of your ensemble? It's gorgeous.
You're noticing. It's just stunning. It's called a statement piece.
It is making the statement. And
I'm trying to take things up a notch as we ever so slightly approach coming out of the pandemic. I want to be all horns blazing.
I've known you. It's funny because you were kind enough to do the movie Benjamin that I directed and acted in, and we never really spoke because I was too busy losing my mind in a 15-day shoot. So.
Dude, a movie on any level is a crazy endeavor. You had so much on your plate for that.
You're the nicest person in the world.
Is that true?
It is true. I had too much on my plate, and there are people that loved the film, and you were incredible in it. But I am so happy to see you, because we were talking about maybe doing this podcast from our hotel rooms.
Yeah. I know we should have done that. I don't know why.
But I'm glad it's now. I'm glad it's now because I've had time to take in that experience and understand it, and also be able to watch your special live from the pandemic. I just watched it. I'd seen it a while. When did this come out? Was it a month ago?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's on Vimeo, and I told everybody in the intro to watch it, but it's really great, Mary Lynn.
Thank you for watching it. I really appreciate that.
I wouldn't
watch people's things, and I don't know, no press. If you didn't, that's okay.
No,
too.
I watched every bit of it, and it's amazing because you did something that only broadcasters know how to do, which is to look into the camera and make the people your friend. But during this time, in quarantine time and Zooms, you've been doing a bunch of press for it and for a bunch of stuff that you've got. So, but it's so good. Was it nerve-wracking to get it together? You did it in your garage. I mean, it's amazing.
I was headlining for Zoom, Zoom shows. I don't know how many of those that you've done, but there's the whole spectrum of you hop on your friend's Zoom show, and then there's different companies. And there was this really great company that I dealt with, and people pay tickets. And my producing partner and we were kind of like, I was coming up with so much stuff during the pandemic that I was supposed to film a comedy album right before the pandemic. And then, as the year progressed, I'm like, you're up in your head. There's all sorts of new stuff going on. And I was headlining these shows, and she said, why don't you just do this show as a special, because you're addressing all the stuff that's happening now. But of course we couldn't film the Zoom show because you've got the sound and the eye line really is off. So, she's like, why don't we just do this show tomorrow in the garage? Or it was a couple days later because we had to conceive of the lighting design and get the sound together. And that was fun too, because you almost do things that you wouldn't do when you're given such a limited set of, it's like, okay, well, you have the garage, you have the refrigerator hum,
yeah.
And we got
There's a dog, there's an occasional heckling dog.
There's an occasional heckling dog. I thought I handled him really well.
Really well. You did not, because you have an unusual focus, which I've always admired, because I haven't always had a good focus. And maybe you knew me back in the day. Occasionally we would run into each other, but we never really knew each other. When you were on Larry Sanders' show, I had been guested on there like 4 times. Did we meet then?
I don't think so. I had always known of you, and you still to this day, you are someone, you're friends with everybody. Everybody loves you.
Not everybody.
Everybody's got a Bob Saget anecdote. And I feel like you're the same with other people. You really keep in touch. You bring people together. So I had known friends of friends. And years ago, I had mentioned to you, we had a friend in common, Jeremy Kramer.
Who I love.
So he was hanging out when I first came to LA, because he's from San Francisco. So I went Michigan, San Francisco, LA. And he was in my sort of circle of friends in LA, and all the storefront, bookstore, bar shows.
Right.
We did a ton of those together. And I even hung out with him one-on-one a lot in San Francisco. We did a lot of open mics together. And he was such a lovely, whacked out, wonderful person. And he, of all people, way back in San Francisco, and I was really young, he helped me. This is a bizarre memory I have, and you'll know because you know him. He helped me get a bank account because I didn't know what I was doing. I had minimum wage job. I was like getting by on like just a shoestring. I honestly do not know how I survived in San Francisco, because it was, even at that time, was very expensive. And I'm getting, the only jobs I can get are minimum wage jobs. I'm putting my college, I'm also paying for college on my credit card. But whenever I had money, I didn't know how to do that. You know,
You
like
talk about it in your special. You just don't have an affinity for how finances work.
I'm much, much better now. I have learned a little bit, but I was not brought up that my parents were very working class. They did well with their money.
Your dad was a pipe fitter?
Yeah, at the electric company.
Holy God. Now, is your dad, I want to ask, are they alive, your mom and dad?
Yes, they're alive. They're doing really well.
Tell them I said hi.
I will.
Now,
And they've both been retired for a while now, so they're enjoying life.
Now, what is pipe fitting? You measure a pipe and then you figure how it goes into another pipe?
Lee, I was hoping you wouldn't. Yes, that is exactly right. And that electric company, the Trenton Power Plant, the Trenton Channel, south of Detroit, was run by coal and still is.
Is it the clean coal?
It's super clean coal, though.
They buff it?
It's clear coal.
Varnish it clear?
Like, what a trip. How are we going to change the world?
And the world wants to change on a dime and go 180. And it's the needle's moving. I just hope. I was just in San Francisco and I saw a lot of needles. It's not that pleasurable. We got a long way to clean up our mess right now. But you talk about it. I mean, you face it head on in this. I want to talk about the special because it really resonated with me, because what I've always liked about you, and I think why people always wanted to work with you from the moments of Mr. Show and from Larry Sanders, that show in particular drew people to it that were real, that had a reality to them. That's why people would think, aren't you on Parks and Rec, which you mentioned in the thing, because there's that attempted to have the Office vibe, but did you ever audition for The Office? Did they ever bring you in? Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
They've been running a lot of people's outtakes of all the stars that.
Oh, really? I saw my name. Somebody posted a Twitter, the sign-in sheet, and they put the one with my name on it. I swear to God, really quick, an anecdote about my Office audition. I'm a shoo-in for Pam, of course. I mean, people think I'm her sometimes, but I'm so close to getting Pam. Like, I'm going to get Pam. I wanted to like really outdo it in my like callback because they had you improv. And I swear to God, I saw Greg Daniels' face, and this is just my own interior experience. I never talked to him about it. I never talked to any of those people again, but I improv'd, but I was pulling in something that had just happened to me in real life, a real story where I met a young prostitute on the street, and she ended up taking me into this donut shop, which was a cover for this prostitution ring. And I met my prospective pimp. It's one of my best, craziest life stories. But I was like, I'm going to take this audition up a notch. And I watched him just go like self-destruct, like way too much information. Like, you took it to a place where I just want a simple character. Like,
right. It's the wrong office.
Wrong office, wrong time, wrong place, wrong office. So I believe that's how I tanked my audition, was trying too hard and having like the juiciest, craziest story that was highly inappropriate for that situation.
It might be right for now. I mean, I don't know. I think sometimes people want edge now, and also they don't. It's interesting to check the temperature on people right now.
Do you mind if I ask you? You may have told this like a million times, but it's funny because I'm like, now we're on podcast. I can ask.
Right.
Like I had all that time and
anything. Now it's cash time.
When we were talking about like Jeremy Kramer and those days and like being real, because I also, forever, I've always heard, oh, he's like really blue in his stand-up. So what was it like for you when you were starting out? Because we talked about this a little bit.
Right.
Standing in line to do sets and all the stuff that you did just to get on stage in those days. And forgive me if you've said this a million times, but how did you develop that style and that persona? Was it from people that you liked?
It was really, I looked up to different people. So I looked up to Richard Pryor, even though you wouldn't see it evident in my early work. Maybe in the work I'm setting out to do now, I'm getting closer to talking about real experience and pain in addition to the comedy that comes out of it, I hope. And then, but Rodney Dangerfield was an influence, and ironically, he put me on his first young comedian special. Don Rickles was an influence. I saw him when I was 17, and I became friendly with him and put him in the movie Dirty Work that I directed, and became very close with him the last 15 years of his life. But my style was, I had no friends. I moved a lot, and I moved in the middle of ninth grade, and I moved between 11th and 12th grade. So my act was, I have no life, and I have no friends, and I live in a moped. And it was just weird, absurd stuff. And I would do weird, sick jokes. Like, I have the brain of a German Shepherd and the body of a 16-year-old boy, and they're both in my car, and I want you to see them. And then now you read that in print, and people go, oh, that's a horrible person. It's like, no, I'm riffing. I'm a good person. I'm just saying what horrible things. I'm sorry. It always ends with, I'm sorry. But then I got bluer. I met Jeremy Kramer, and I became friends with him because I was playing up in San Francisco. And Dana Carvey and I were like, he was the star out of there, and we were like on the same circuit. It was before he got SNL.
What were the clubs there at the time?
It was the Holy City Zoo, and it was the Other Cafe and the Punchline. I did badly at the Punchline. I was like half stand-up, half guitar songs and parodies, which we know what we think of parodies, even though they've become part of our culture now.
You've always done the guitar.
Always.
Okay.
I was a guitar act. When I was 17, I won a radio contest in Philly singing a song called Bondage. And then I got bluer, I guess, after I did an HBO special around then. When Full House and the video show ended, I kind of went a little crazy. And so I'm not that blue now, I don't think. But when did you start doing you started doing stand-up with Jeremy in San Francisco?
Yeah, well, I was going to art school for painting, and then I started doing performance art. And I mean, the very personal point of it was, honestly, I think I was like imploding from lack of self-expression. So there was a part of it that was really self-discovery for me, and a need to, I relate to what you're saying, like no friends, moving a lot. I didn't move a lot. I had friends, but I mean, I just was like really pent up and needed a connection and didn't know how to express myself. And performing gave me that adrenaline that forced me to say something. So I don't know why I chose performing to do that, because I'm a fairly interior person. But once you're on a stage and you have to say something to grab the attention. So I was doing performance art in San Francisco, and then I started making fun of performance art, because once I started meeting comedians and people that weren't art school students, which I loved art school, but when I saw the comedians on stage in these bars, because it was also the off shows, the shows that were not official shows in comedy clubs, because that wasn't me. I was very distanced from that. Like, I'm not a dude talking about my opinions. Like, I didn't have that stature. So in bars, at open mics, comedians would come, and I recognized right away, like, that person knows their own voice. They're really savvy. That it's jam packed. When they open their mouth, they're not wasting time. It's not that there's anything wrong with poetry, but it just, watching somebody know, and I'm sure really good poetry is that way. I was just at all those open mics where people were like experimenting, and that's great. But when you see somebody that's like knows themselves and knows how to do that, and so I was very attracted to that, and it was approachable because it wasn't in those comedy clubs that really weren't for me. So it was, and then it also was at the same time when the real alternative scene was happening. And I'm sure that happens every few years, but
right.
The one that happened in the 90s, where stuff became more confessional, like there were a lot of shows in LA and a lot of people came out of that from, Margaret Cho, Kathy Griffin, tons of people who just would talk about what was going on with them rather than a facade. So I loved that.
Yeah, Tig Notaro and Gary Goldman. I mean, that's to talk about mental health is that's huge.
Yeah.
And I've had so much of it in my family, and I think of everything, literally everything, but I kind of skirted it by doing, I'll go down this road. So I would do more commercial entertaining.
Well, did you skirt? That's what I'm wondering about. Did you skirt it, or were you of your time?
That both.
Because for you, that's why I'm asking about, you were edgy, you were pushing an edge, especially with, and also I'm going back again into your history. When you got that show, did you think about what it was, or were you just like, yes, I'm on a TV show, or were you like, yes, I'm on it, but is this gonna, were you questioning that at the onset?
I was thrilled. I had been on a CBS. I'd been in a Richard Pryor movie when I was 26, and then when I was 29, I got on a show on CBS against the Today Show and Good Morning America, being a third co-host, like a broadcaster, and they fired me after 5 months, and then the show went away after 9 months.
Lasted 5 months, huh?
I lasted 5, and then the job on Full House opened up again because Jeff Franklin had wanted me because I was the warm-up comic on Bosom Buddies, the audience warm-up.
No way.
Yeah, with Tom Hanks and Peter Scolari. And so Chris Thompson was a friend and producer of Bosom Buddies. And then Jeff Franklin hired me for Full House. I was so happy to be on a show by Miller Boyette, who brought Happy Days to people, and Laverne and Shirley. And this was ABC. And I already knew Dave Coulier, who'd already gotten the show. We were friends for 10 years.
You were thrilled. There was no downside.
I was so happy. And I went, I'm going to be a real actor. I knew how to act. I studied. Did you must have studied for a while as well, right?
No, I did it in high school, and I did a little.
You were an Oompa Loompa, I read.
Yes, I did a little theater as a kid, like local theater.
Please tell me the age of being an Oompa Loompa.
I think I was, I don't know, 10 maybe.
That's listed pretty prominently on your Wikipedia. I mean, it seems like you were 23 the way they were featured it.
That was my missed opportunity for a joke. That was the joke right there.
There must be an Oompa Loompa something, a hunk.
I was 23. I revised it at 37.
It's a half a woman show. That's a horrible thing. I can't say that. But I did.
I don't even get it. That's how horrible.
There'll be a one woman show, but Oompa Loompas are little.
Yeah.
I've offended. Should that be cut out, or do we leave it? I don't know. Are there any edits in your special at all?
No, that was the other thing. One time through.
And you go through some titles.
I got a little bit testy beforehand, and thank God my producing partner knows me well enough, because it was half material I knew really well and half material that was really, really fresh. So I was like, I don't know this very well, but you got to be in that state in order to.
Now you talk about people that are in your life. Now, have they seen it? Have you heard from anyone? You've got a couple dates in there, COVID dates. You've got a neighbor that you're avoiding.
Oh my gosh.
Has any of it come back?
I've had friends going, what happened with that neighbor? And I'm like, I haven't seen her since. She will never see it. I'm very confident she'll never see it.
Are you sure?
Yes, 1,000%. And I stand behind that, because
it's hilarious.
I'll ever tell her to her face, but and that is all true.
But you have this amazing combination, and I have a problem with people think I'm brown nosing or I'm over complimentary, but I'm going to be 65. I just call things honestly because I want to. You are so modest, and yet you're also incredibly confident because you're so good. And you know you're good, but you would never say that. But I've worked with you, and we just did a movie together, and my God, you've done so many movies and so many TV shows. You're such a pro. You have such a great combination of humility and insecurity and complete confidence.
I think that's exactly right. Thank you for saying it like that. No one's ever said that to me before. And I think that that is exactly right. I am confident, and I'm getting closer in age to where I'm pretty much there where I don't care.
Right.
But I still need to be better at being clearer about what I want and maybe what's really going on. But I'm getting better at like not caring what others think. And but I have always had that combination of extremely worried but yet confident at the same time. And I don't think it's weird. I don't think there's ever any reason not to be humble.
I agree.
But yeah, I do have an attitude sometimes, and I check myself because there certainly are things where I'm like, ugh, I'm way too good for that, and I know it and I believe it and I am correct. But I mean, ultimately, I don't know. Maybe that's just the stuff I like that I'm drawn to, you know?
Well, you have good taste, and we fall into doors that open sometimes are because people have good taste that find the talent that's why I think you've been in so many projects that are so interesting and so cool with people. Even though I always think when I work, I'll never work again. You know, that's what I don't feel that anymore. And I don't think you feel that.
Still have a big drive to work a lot, don't you think?
It's really interesting. And coming back after, well, actually, let's take a quick commercial because I actually have a sponsor. Yeah, but wait till you see how short our break is. It's going to be much shorter than what these people are going to listen to. Because I want to ask you, I want to talk about our experience that we just had.
Okay.
And then talk about also the movie that you've got coming out not too long from now.
You're such a pro.
Well, you know, I've been doing this a year, these podcasts, and I've been loving them. I was on Kevin Hart's podcast, and I brought up your name because I did it from Cayman Islands where we were, which we're about to talk about after the break. But you were in night school with him, and he had nothing but loving things to say. That was a fun thing to do, right?
He's amazing.
He is.
He's really, I've never met anyone like that with such drive and joy and gratitude and silly, but super savvy, you know.
And he cares what people think, but he also is so intelligent to not, because he's wiser than his years, and yet he's not because he's been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
But he inspires the hell out of me.
Yeah, he's very inspiring. He really is. He's very motivating. He gets you going.
I worked out after doing his podcast. I swear to God, I did like 500 crunches. I couldn't move afterward. I don't know how he's pulling like trucks with chains.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, we're going to talk about you more because I get criticized for talking too much. So we'll be right back, and I'm going to talk less. Okay, we're back.
You're not talking too much.
I get told that. But you know what? I'm sensitive, right? And then I get misinterpreted by things I say or things from 30 years ago or 10 years ago, and I'd like a do-over for a lot of things, you know, when I do stuff wrong. Like even when we did Benjamin, and you were kind enough to do that, and I deferred to you. Are you comfortable with this? You had to do a fart joke in there, and I was like, do you want to do it? And you did it. You did it because I wanted it, and I was told not to do that joke. Gary Marshall, who we lost, sadly, because he was so brilliant, read the script and said, I like the whole thing. I don't like the fart stuff, but I never liked the fart stuff. and I left it.
Credit, I liked the fart thing, and then when it came down to doing it, I did not like it. When
That's
I read
what
it,
I felt.
I was like, this is almost so ridiculous that I like it, because it's not like breaking the fourth wall, but it sticks out in a way. And I thought, well, that's pretty ballsy, that it's absurd to the point of you don't even understand, really. I mean,
Well, your character had a nervous stomach. I mean, she had some problems, but it came out of nowhere, and that's
around it, like you're finding a reason for it. She has IBS, and Evan Pollack has a command over his character has a command over his anus, and he is in love with you, so he farts at the same time. He wants to be there with you. Yeah,
Kevin Pollak. That was so much fun to be around him. He is adorable. I would be directing something. There was no time to do anything. I'm trying to shoot coverage. And all he would say, no matter what, I've been in 80 movies. He just kept saying that. I know, Kevin. But that was actually a fun experience. But I think the most fun that we've had was what we just experienced.
This was an amazing experience. Unreal.
So walk all of our listeners and possible viewers through what we did and what the hell, how did this happen for you when you found out?
What am I doing?
Do you want me to get that for you? Do you have an itch right now? Is it from your cat? Are you allergic?
No, it's from doing this. I'm trying to massage out the line in my forehead.
Oh, you don't have, Mary Lynn, you don't have any lines. And that haircut is a remnant from the movie that we did.
Yes, this is a remnant. I cut my own bangs. So I get a call from my agent saying, before I've even read the script, can you go to the Cayman Islands in 2 days? For 5 weeks during the pandemic. I don't even have to read the script. The answer is yes, I can.
Am I dressed?
I run out without any shoes in my underwear to get to the Cayman Islands as fast as possible. I was lucky to be able to pull it off. And then also it was really lucky that the script was good, because I already was going to go. And then I read it and I was like, when is the other shoe going to drop? And it just never did. The whole thing was such a lovely, from quarantining in a resort overlooking the beach, it could not have been better. To the way that we were treated, to having on your day off, you just take a few steps and you're in the most beautiful place you've ever been.
And people need to know that there were no COVID cases because they put us in quarantine for real. And if you broke quarantine, you go to jail for months.
Oh my gosh. What about when you talked me off of the ledge at the end of my quarantine?
We had an experience, which was, that's when I become like the dad role, or I become whatever. Like I'm an actor in the film, but I suddenly am co-producing somehow to make sure you get the hell out of your room. People won't believe this story.
You were my contact. You were the person that I knew. I had met Jeremy only through emails, and I'm not going to bother the director.
Jeremy Lalonde and our friend Nicholas Tabarrok, who also produced Benjamin.
I could have reached out to Nicholas, but I reached out to you in my panic.
And we've been corresponding. And if anybody wants to see any of these experiences, you must go to Mary Lynn's Instagram or TikTok, because she was in quarantine for 16 days and documented it pretty much every day, showing the food, showing the pool boy. Well, how did you come up with this concept to make literally a movie out of a pandemic?
I think what I'm learning from this podcast is that I thrive in limitation.
You do.
From the special in the garage, because Every morning, it's the same view, it's the same thing, and you gotta do stuff or else you lose your mind. You're like, well, I'll take a bath now. And well, that's gonna take an hour and a half, right? I'll go sit in this corner now. You do things to break up your day. Every morning, I would go out on that lanai and see the pool guy. It's 8 a.m. He's going to refresh the water and then he's going to put towels on that row of chairs. He does it every day. And then one morning I go out there and he's not there. And I was in a panic. Like, where's my guy? Where's my boyfriend? I'm counting on him. I do this every day. And then that's what started to be the films, was a little narrative. Of course, TikTok is so insane because they're so, you guys do that too, where you do little stories. It's like,
Kelly, my wife Kelly she's the one. She's the techie one. I could
be like a little simpler about it, but right. I made like little mini, they were simple, but like little mini films.
They're fantastic. I recommend everybody because you're in love with him. He becomes your boyfriend.
Of people and I think they don't know I'm filming them. I'm up on the balcony. I can't even see his face. I'm just objectifying him and like where his whereabouts. Like, why aren't you where I think you're going to be? And then time's going on. At one point I'm doing a dance up there because I'm trying to act like, hey, I can be fun too, because they would always have those shit going on down there, dance parties or pool, dancing.
Yeah, loud dance parties, and we're trapped in our rooms.
Yeah, so I'm like trying to get his attention. I'm like, I'm up here. Meanwhile, I think I'm just play for one, doing it on my own. I get this, I don't know if I told you this, I got a printed picture on a piece of typing paper slipped underneath my door along with the meal. That's a photo of all three of the pool guys that I've been filming because I had multiple boyfriends. And it says, we can't wait to meet you. And I was horrified because I thought they don't know I'm doing this. Everybody in the hotel knew who I was and what I was doing.
You were acting.
Like, what's going on with your boyfriends? Like, everybody's following this. By the time I get down there, I literally have 3 boyfriends competing for me,
Did you meet them? Did you meet any of them?
Oh yeah, I met all of them. Mo was shy. What's my other guys? Alex.
Right.
He was funny. He was from Romania. He'd been on the island for a while, worked at the resort for a while. And then there was Danny. I believe Danny was a native Cayman Islands, and his family was maybe from Jamaica. I believe he was born in the Cayman Islands. Danny's cool guy. He's going to give it up when you least expect it. He's got that sexy smile. Alex is a joker. Alex is always quick to like jump in an improv with me. He's going to like get the bike out for me. He's joking around. He did like a fake fight for my love, and Danny just hung back. And Mo is still a mystery. Mo is very shy. He keeps to himself, which I appreciate. He'll smile, but he doesn't give it up. I really don't know anything about Mo, which maybe in the end that's going to be the everlasting love because he's still a mystery to me.
That's a reason to go back.
That's a reason. I left. I didn't say bye to any of them.
Did you correspond with them while you were there? Did you have a drink with any of them? Was there any real,
It was one of them Danny gave me a salsa lesson. Alex, I would just talk to when I was down there at the pool. But no, you mean like, did I go on an actual date? No.
A salsa lesson is that's kind of personal.
It was really good. I enjoyed it very much.
Well, what happened was that I think people, we were very, very lucky, incredibly lucky to be in a world where we get out of quarantine and they say you don't have to wear a mask. The hotel people at the Kimpton Seafire Resort had to wear their masks because that's the policy, and the people on the film set had to because of union rules, and they did. But we were allowed to be safe and get vaccinated if some people were getting vaccinated. Did you get vaccinated there?
I got one vax there, and I got my other one when I got back.
Got it. But when we had a nightmare, and that's when I was your go-to person, when something happened, and it's pretty dramatic, and it's real, and you didn't do a TikTok or Instagram about it because it was pretty hardcore.
I mean, I could have snuck some footage, but so there was a fire alarm, which happened a lot. It happened like 3 or 4 times, right?
Yep.
But for some reason, this time, whatever announcement they were making, this was my reaction. And by the way, it was the last day of quarantine. I was waiting to the moment for my test to come back any minute. 2, 3, 4 hours. I was supposed to get that test back. And the fire alarm goes off. I call the front desk and I say, I'm in quarantine. Should I leave for this fire alarm? Because they were being asked to exit the building. And she says, yes. Okay, so I walk down the hall, go outside on the sidewalk. It's a fire alarm. Couple minutes with a mask on, walk back in. I'm wandering in because you know how it was so strict when we got there, people telling you where to go. Well, it's a fire alarm, so no one's really telling me where to go. The guy who's on my floor was our stunt guy, Damien, who I had met him anyway. So he was also waiting on his test any moment. We sort of see each other. Okay, we wander onto the service elevator. We go up, go back to our room. I get a call and I can hear in the woman's voice. I've never talked to her before, but it's like shaking. Like she's trying to sound friendly, but she's like, hi, where did you, ask my name, blah, 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 my room number. Did you go outside for that fire alarm? I said, yes, I did. No, were you with anybody on the elevator? And I said, yeah, my buddy, he's also in quarantine. We rode up on the elevator. Okay, well, that is, we're in contact with someone. I said, yes. But we're both at the very end of our quarantine. We're both in quarantine. Oh, did you have a mask on? Yes. Were you 6 feet apart? Yes. I will get back to you. And that was the moment when my nightmare started. It didn't last very long, but it was long enough that that was the first time during quarantine that I genuinely started to get like dry mouth, because what happened in my brain was, they're going to tell me I can't leave this room.
Yeah, for another 16 days.
For another 14, 16 days. And
right. And you also go to camera 2 days later.
Yes. And the thought of that was legit. I have experienced panic. And that's the moment when I texted you.
And then I went right to the producer, Jason, who couldn't have been more wonderful. And he got right on the phone with the hotel, and they made sure that you were clear and clean and all that normal stuff. And then about an hour and a half later, you show up at dinner, which was...
That entire hour, I was like, I don't know, because I wasn't hearing from anyone. That's also why I was texting you, because I needed to
I answered. I kept saying, they're working on it. And I sent you a picture of him on the phone.
You have no idea how much that helped. You were so smart to do that. I was like, okay, he is working. Because when your brain short circuits.
Oh, I'm the same way. I'm neurotic, and I'll go. We do things to ourselves. All people do, especially, by the way, forget the fact that you were in quarantine, about to be able to have the luxury of being in a film. How have we all been living? You know, a lot of people have had no regard for it, but a lot of people have been very scared. And it's however you're made. But when you got out and you showed up at this lovely restaurant, and William, the nicest man, and Nicholas, and then the whole cast was Joel David Moore, Jason Jones, Carly Chaikin, who was what's her lovely lady,
Riley.
Chantel, she's so lovely, and Dax. I mean, it was, everybody welcomed you, and it is like getting birthed coming out of quarantine.
I kind of love that I had the panic, because my adrenaline was so off the charts that then people were hugging me. I mean, I haven't hugged anybody like that aren't inner. You're not around people. And, everyone had a couple drinks. Everyone was like at the end of the meal, and it was just a jolly, like, such warmth, and everybody knew of what happened. So I think I got applause.
You did. You came into applause.
And there was a sparkler. There was a sparkler in a bottle of
There
champagne.
was.
It was the greatest. And also just not to mention the simplicity of not having a mask and looking around like we don't have our masks on right now. That was fun to be in that zone. Do you remember having that for the first
I
24
do.
hours after where everything's new?
It's literally like being born. It's like a sci-fi movie. It was. I came downstairs and I didn't know where I was, and all of a sudden I had something to eat and I had a cocktail, and I was with the director Jonathan of the next film that they were shooting, because they're doing 4 in a row there because of the conditions there and the investors and all that. And also Jeremy Lalonde, the loveliest director, and Rob, the DP. And I didn't know what to do, and they were talking at me real fast, and Jonathan was talking about stand-up comedy, and Jason Jones, he's right about everything. I mean, he says it, and everything I look up, he's right about, so I had to agree. But he was coming at me about comedy, and I'm like, I like this guy, but he knows a lot, and I have nothing. I'm just like Chauncey Gardner. I didn't know what was going on. And it happened to everybody. It was fun to welcome each person.
Yes.
But it was a really good experience, that film.
Yes, it was great. And you said you enjoyed the quarantine, as did I. I liked it.
Too much potatoes
Some salty, salty potatoes.
in a box. And at the end, the last 5 days, all it was, I think, was potatoes. It was like no more fish or chicken, just potatoes with potatoes.
Well, I wanted to stop eating the meat for a little bit and the dessert. So I was like, okay, bring me vegan, but don't bring the bread or the dessert, because every meal I'm eating meat, dessert, bread. I'm like, I gotta slow down. The vegan breakfast one morning was a box of fruit. It was probably a 4-pound box filled with fruit. I'm like, I can have 4 bites of this, and then I am done with fruit.
The only note I wanted to give them, and I felt bad complaining at all, was please don't put chili in a box. The box is like a fold-up box. It's like dripping out.
Chili in a cardboard box and just hold the top.
Here's your dinner. It's a shoebox with soup in it. Well, we should tell the people that
no bowl. There was just a plate. Oh no, you had a kitchen though.
I did, but I hardly used it. I mean, I didn't know what to do. It was pretending I was like playing house. I'll sit here with a napkin. But I mean, they should know that the name on the script is Blue Iguana, and that's what was in Deadline. But I think it's going to be called Killing Daniel, is what I think. And it's really, and Iggy Pop was in it, and he dies very soon. I just want them to know the spoiler alert.
You're not going to see a lot. You're going to see a good amount of him. You're going to get a dose of Iggy Pop.
You're going to see him, and he's got a shirt, so it's a real change of character. And he's actually really good in it, which is...
he's great.
But it was also wonderful to watch you work. Everybody that was in it was especially talented. And
They're really good group. Good combo.
And you played Mia, and the point is they're all vying to get the money of the estate of their dad, because they're not the nicest people, except for one of them. Joel David Moore plays Daniel, who's redeemable, and they want to kill him to get the money. And it was so much fun. I mean, I got to like work with you without thinking about what's my next setup. In our past experience, and it was so wonderful. We were so excited. Even little exchanges on the stairs were like, it was so delightful. You're so gifted. You're so in the moment. And you must have loved playing that character too. You never played anything like her, right?
Oh, she was so unabashedly murderous. She did not give a F, this lady, but just kind of masterminding the murder of her brother. Like, this is a damaged woman. That was a lot of fun. Just ordering people around, just a real Just a real bitch on wheels. It was
But you
great.
played it with a lot of class too. It had a real. It was like interesting. It was like
Well, because she's also you had to believe she was a boss and a businesswoman, right?
yeah.
And she wants other people to do her bidding. Like she would rather not dirty her hands. That's so I'm trying to get Jason Jones's character to can you just hurry up and kill him? That's the best part. Murderous, but like no blood on my hands. I mean, if I absolutely have to, I will, but can you just get this done, please? It's a real caper, this movie. It's a caper.
I have a good feeling about it. We never know. We never know with these things, but this.
Do you think your character is redeemable?
I do. And it's interesting because we don't see all the stuff that we play. So like I didn't get to see, I read, but it's so different when everybody plays everything because some things a lot of us would look at and go, does this work? And then when you do it, you realize that Matthew wrote it properly. And we ended up using more, and there's a lot of ad-libbing too. There's some wonderful stuff everybody does. But yeah, I thought that I loved my boss a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why he was redeemable. And I also had guilt, which I always have, for thinking ill of him, thinking that I don't want to give that away, but I realized that I had love for him as a person. And I was trying to parent you guys, but it was to no avail. It's a little over the top. So, you know, but not when you're playing it. So
yeah. Yes.
Now you've got a Chris Pratt movie coming out, and it is not a small thing. This is a giant damn monster of a movie, and it comes out. I have the date. It's July 2nd, is it?
Yes, I believe so. On Amazon.
Amazon, and it's like a $200 million movie, Mary Lynn. So what? So it's only a $4 million budget. So you made a lot of money on this. All right.
When I signed on, they told me it was an independent movie. That should tell you how that deal went down.
Is that true?
That is true.
Was Chris part of it at that point?
Yes. Yeah, I like how you were like intonating. You're like, that's on you, biatch. And you already know he's involved.
All I have written here is international superstar. For some reason, I don't have. So
I was like, can I have a job? I'm always in the position of like, is there a job for me? Great. Am I going to do more than break even? Oh, let's hope so. But things are different in 2021 because look at it.
You're all bling, and it's gonna all be.
Somebody's got to afford this curtain.
That curtain is insane. People need to go on YouTube right now. If you're only listening, you've got to see this curtain. What's the name of this film? What's the name of the film that's coming out? What's the Chris Pratt movie name?
You just had a joke of the people that actually go to look at this curtain. It's going to be the biggest letdown.
No, it won't.
A joke for you. No, it won't.
It won't. I think I got a bunch of junk behind me, just like tchotchkes.
Ooh. Then I'm listening to you. The name of the film is The Tomorrow War.
And I'm trying to understand the premise. So it's like 2052.
Me too. I was in it, and okay.
Let me let you in on a little secret.
I also am trying to still.
I'm not sure what the premise of the
I don't know what this movie is about.
The future's coming back. He's coming back to fix the past, so the future doesn't turn out with the end of the world kind of thing.
You're such a goddamn pro, Bob.
Well, I adore you, and I'm not going to talk to you and not know what's going on, for God's sakes.
I really appreciate your
I appreciate you.
You said that very well. And so what they're doing is recruiting regular people to go to the future to try to stop the aliens who are attacking us. So at the present, it won't happen.
And I told you this. I heard from a friend of mine who saw the film that you're great in it, and your response was, "But I don't." It was. I'm telling you, and I'll tell you, my friend is a producer, David Permit, and we're doing a couple things together. Not in the business. We just go to lunch. No, we're not. No, we don't. We can't. He's scared to go to lunch. No, we are. He is a very wonderful. Got great taste, and he said, "God,
Can I have his phone number and email, please? I'll contact him right now.
I'll give it to you right now. It's 310."
Okay.
But he said you were awesome in it.
I love to hear that, and I did. It's such a big, crazy movie that it's hard to tell. I'm not being overly modest, but there's a big group of us and we carry guns. I did do some pretty cool stuff, and I'm hoping that it, stays in, comes out, and that there's something to it.
What kind of guns? Are they present guns or future guns?
They're present guns, which is interesting.
Had you worked with guns before? 24, you were not really a gun person, right?
Funny you should say that. I have one episode that fans of 24 really remember where, yes, I was the computer genius techie person, so I was rarely in the field. I was often doing this, talking to him in the field. But when they broke me out, that was a really exciting episode because I had to go to a person's house who had something encrypted on their laptop, and then the terrorists find us in that house, and I break into this car and like shoot the dude, and that was really satisfying for me and for viewers because you weren't expecting that to happen.
Right.
So then I did get a gun. So I had that was the first time I held a gun like that, an AK-47, and
you can get them anywhere now.
you can just go get one at Party City if you want one.
At Costco?
But it's not in Costco. I thought you said in costume. You can go in costume. Let's not even.
Yeah, this is probably not.
Yeah, this is a horrible, horrible plight on our society.
Yes,
today.
it is. Was it loaded? It's loaded with blanks, right? The one that you
So
fired.
the Tomorrow War, we did get some training for that. But when I did 24 and just my first experience with somebody who is an expert at guns, that's the part that I wanted to tell you. When I came in contact with somebody who was an expert and had respect for it, then I sort of understood for the first time. I don't believe, I'm not interested in hunting. I don't think that's worth fighting for. I'm sorry, that's not my thing. Maybe if I went on a hunting trip, I would have more empathy for wanting to kill things, but I don't think I would. But when I was around this guy and he had such a respect and he knew it inside and out and the power of it, and the scary part is it's fun to shoot a gun.
Yep.
It was exciting and it's powerful and it is very obviously real and visceral, and that experience is insane to hold it and shoot it. And luckily I got to be around somebody like that was super knowledgeable and super safe, and I just very quickly got to shoot it a few times and then cut to this movie where it was a part of our uniform. I mean, a lot of times it was a rubber gun, except for that we would always carry. But oftentimes we were carrying the real thing, not loaded until it was time to go. Then it was loaded with blanks, which still are dangerous. But that was a really cool, unique experience because there was a whole group of us soldiers that were all shooting blanks within the same. And there's CGI, really cool CGI. But when you see us shooting, we're really shooting in the streets of Atlanta at an alien. And, I cherish having that experience and kind of knowing what that is-ish in the way that you can in the world of pretend.
And in that world, people should know when it comes to safety on a set, which I don't think people talk about too much. They make major announcements. All of the people that are—it's not just props. It's
well, yeah, and there's an entire team that is like the firearms team.
Can you explain explain to people what they do, how they announce it, how they talk to all of the people shooting and everything?
Well, yeah, they make everybody stop and to pay attention, and you got to go through and you've got to follow these rules, or else you get in trouble. You have to be in charge of your own gun. And also we had days and days and days of training with how we were going to move, which was weird because they said, once you start filming, you're really not going to use this because you are regular people, but we want you to understand where the safety is. Like, we stood in a room and faced the wall with guns that were not loaded, and for a day loaded it and were shown where to put our finger, like that, and how to handle it. And you just did it over and over again. And then we would take a break so it would get in our brain, and we came back and did it again. And again, we were just regular people, so we didn't, but they wanted us to have that background so that you can't just go into it blind.
And blanks are not safe either. I mean, you can
Correct.
become.
Oh yeah, he did a example of just it shattering this plastic water bottle, and he's like, "That's what a blank can do."
Yep, and it can shatter your eardrum.
I mean, most of us were just like, "What the?" Like, you shoot it and you feel that power, and that's enough. But it's like, we just want to reiterate what this is if you're in close range to this.
And how about Chris Pratt? He's a sweetheart, right?
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing and funny.
He's real funny.
Really funny.
And he's a bona fide movie star. He really yeah.
And he's one of those people that he's doing his thing because he's the star of the movie, but he also understands, like, he balances it with creating a good environment and just being cool to everybody, And like, he plays around a little bit, but then he's like also very focused, but he makes it a good, nurturing, fun environment, like sort of an inclusive set. And that's super important.
That's similar to, I mean, even you were talking about Kevin Hart before. It trickles down from
Absolutely.
the top of a person.
Yeah, Kevin Hart's a great example of total pro. He's the star, but he gets it, and he wants to have a good time. He wants it to be a good environment, especially on that movie that was all comedy. We did night shoots and just laughed the entire night. It was the best.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna laugh for a couple more seconds after this break from a really important product. It's one of my favorites. All right, I've got a new sponsor here, and they're a very reputable company, but this is for adults only. This is not for kids, so kids, go do something for a minute. And this is for people 18 and up, I'd say, and it's about Adam and Eve. They've been around a long time, and they want you to know that free stuff is awesome. But free stuff to spice up your bedroom, hey, that's even better. Select almost any one item for 50% off, and then Adam and Eve loads on the free stuff. No double entendres in that. Adam and Eve is America's favorite adult store, offering 100% discreet packaging, shipping, and billing. Upscale specialty boutique for discerning couples, women, and men. Enter offer code SAGET at checkout and get 10 tantalizing free gifts. A sexy item for him, a special gift for her, and a third item you'll both enjoy. And 6 free spicy movies, plus free shipping. That's Saget, S-A-G-E-T, offer code SAGET at checkout at adamandeve.com. Okay, we're back. And your hair has never looked better.
I know, right?
And you were so excited because you get out of quarantine and then you get this haircut.
And then I get a transformation. And I come out free like a butterfly flying into the world.
I'm telling you, because we have the same publicist who I love so much, and I've been with him for years, and he is so excited to work with you because you have such a wonderful time opening up for you now. I just know it because I know it. And this business, I mean, think about it. I guess it was it April where we ran into each other and I didn't know it was you in Burbank in a soundstage?
Yeah.
It was like we were living literally in Omega Man or Soylent Green. You had a kerchief on, and I went, "Oh, hi," and I had a mask on, and we were Greg. What's Greg's name? Who owns the web? Really lovely guy and a good actor, and Tom Papa asked me to do it, who I love, and you had a scarf on, and you went, "Oh, Bob, it's Mary Lynn." It was like we were children of the night. We were.
It was a weird time. Did you end up enjoying that show, by the way? You had a good time, right?
I did, but I was really awkward because they said, we're going to give you all your own mic, but I ended up touching every mic, and I just got confused. And the audience was really kind, socially distant, about 20 people, but it was like, it felt too soon to me to go back.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, he's lovely. The space was lovely. It was a very good effort. I mean, it was good overall, but yeah, there was definitely, it was a little tough.
I think the audience was less afraid than the performers were.
Yeah.
Because we were all, I remember Greg Fitzsimmons was like, we were all a little off kilter because it was like, we need to do this. This is who we are. But
I think that was before even the outdoor or the drive-in shows had started.
Way before.
Yeah.
And we were going to do one, which I was looking forward to. And then they canceled it. And then I ended up just doing the Irvine Improv because they went and opened it.
And how was that?
It was pretty amazing. I mean, it's instead of 490, they would have 180 in there. So it's socially distanced. And I think, a lot of people are hurting, and I think we're going to see the world come back. I have to be more positive because there's so many people being negative. I have to think that we're going to get through this and then hope that the world can sustain itself, because I can't watch the news anymore. I don't know what to do.
I really, really slowed down, and I'm kind of the same. It's hard to get back in there. I didn't really watch the George Floyd trial. I tuned in for a large chunk the day of the verdict, and it is the news is a lot all the time, and you almost, it's a part of it is like self-preservation. You need to like take care of yourself to keep going.
Yeah.
It's wild out there. It is wild.
And that is why I feel more of a responsibility, and I know you do. I mean, I can't stress enough that people should see your pandemic special.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
No, you're in your garage, for God's sakes. It's framed amazingly. Who's your director, producer friend?
Chelsea Mitchell. She just walked in. She's in the background. She's very happy to hear that. That was really
She's so good. There's a little piece of wood on the side of the garage door, and I'm sure she said, "Oh, just leave it there," because there was nothing. It was like you said. It's like the old movies with Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. We got a barn. Let's put on a show.
Yes.
But the way you did it, you made me as an audience not uncomfortable. Sometimes when someone looks into the lens, and some of our late night hosts who we're friends with, a lot of them, a couple times you'll see someone look into the lens and it's like, oh, stop staring at me.
Nice of that. Thank you. And I think that was a little bit from also the experience of having done a lot of those Zoom shows and watched other people. It's weird. It's like getting used to another. It's like when you go on a stage and the person comes off and you're like, how was it? And they tell you like the little things, like, oh, drunk guy to the left, or you won't see the light. You can't see the audience. Like all those little things is like times 10 with a Zoom show where it's like, what?
Right.
All the different things you have to get used to is so bizarre.
Well, it's interesting because Seinfeld always says that, he doesn't talk to the audience. He does his work. And he says it's a discourse and you feed off of the response. But in this
audience,
I do. Sometimes I do more. I've been doing it less because I recently opened up the Hard Rock Event Center in Atlantic City and did 2 shows in one night. And that was a 7,000 seat room with I guess about 1,000 people in it each show.
Dang, that's huge.
It was big, and it felt good to come back. And the audience was appreciative, and there wasn't heckling. And security has stepped up just because the nature of the world.
Yes.
And I think I know it's gonna get better. They need this. And I was so amazed by Avery Pearson's score of your special.
Oh, you're shouting out all my people. You're so sweet. Yeah.
Well, but it's that good. That's why I want people to see it on Vimeo. Now, which I didn't even know that you can rent on. I don't know anything. I mean, I don't know. I know how PayPal works, but I didn't know what other things are. You know,
about Vimeo coming in hot on Vimeo. Check her out.
I'm going to get an alert just for your special. But what did Avery do? Just watched it and scored it like all of the work Avery does. I mean, like the roasts and all the stuff.
And that's because I've known him and I've done many a late night with him and watching him at the Comedy Store, at the Improv. We've done a lot of shows together. So that was another one of those things where, like, I know him, I trust him, I know what he can do, and I know that he'll see what I'm doing. And that score really took it up a notch, because when I watched myself, I was like, oh, I'm doing my comedy. With the combination of how I speak and the score, I was like, wow, this chick is wild. Like, I have a very different way of speaking, and I think his score just like accentuates it, like makes it its own thing. And yeah, love him. I complimented myself while I was complimenting him.
That's what I do too. It's perfect. I think it's the way we should function. Avery is so great because I am.
Yeah. No, it was you know what I mean when you
well, you don't notice it. You don't
shorthand of like he'll get it. I just full trust.
And not only that, though, but it's like, it's not rim shot soundtrack. It's not you say something, there's no whack, 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 because that's not you. It's thematic, and it's very prevalent. I mean, it's voluminous sometimes, but you don't notice it. That's what's so great. To score it, I think, is the key to the thing, because that takes the place of the audience in a way. That way you're getting the mood of you being honest.
It's like honest a commitment to what it is. It's like, yes, this is this, and the music gives it that, like, yeah, it's a special in my garage and it has its own score. Like, get used to it. It's not an accident, in other words. It's on purpose. That's what
takes it to the professional level too. Because it could have just been what some people are doing, which is they'll go on Instagram Live or they'll do a Zoom and they'll charge a cover and stuff. But this was like a finished film type thing. It was really smart.
Thank you. I'm really proud of it. Really happy about it.
Is your cat okay? That's what I'm concerned about, because I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, but near the end of the special, there's some intel about your cat's issue.
Got some intel.
It's a major backdoor intel. I won't go further. I went too far.
Backdoor issues.
It is there are issues.
He's 5 years old and he's thriving. He's a big boy. He's a good boy. I did inherit him during the divorce. I don't remember if I said that during the special.
You did?
Yes, because I'm keeping it current.
Well, the divorce stuff is fantastic. When I got divorced 23 years ago, I gained 5 minutes. I lost a lot more in other ways.
Yes.
And it's very painful.
That's a very pointed, poignant, true way to say that. Hey, I lost a marriage, but I gained 5 minutes.
But when I got remarried a few years ago, I gained 7 minutes. So I think that speaks volumes.
That's amazing.
How relationships help and hurt comedians. I also, now when things are back, where will you be working out? Will you go to Largo? What will you do?
I will probably go to the Comedy Store and the Improv and maybe try to find some of these new shows that have cropped up everywhere. And I don't know about the road. I am looking into it softly. I'm doing a soft open of my mind in thinking about it.
And where would you want to go? I mean, it could be wherever feels right, really.
Yeah.
You were a Largo person quite a bit, right? Didn't you work out of there a
You
lot?
know what? I was years ago, and when
Oh, okay.
they switched over, which has been quite a few years ago, I do it, but it's not my regular. It's not like I don't do it. I used to hang out there several times a week, but that was before the year 2000.
That's the problem. Again, that's my third reference using Wikipedia as a source. I can't stress it enough. People do not go to Wikipedia to
Not
get
go to
your
Wikipedia.
no.
That's a reference to it was a touchstone in my past, and I think it's sort of what that is. It's a reference to that alt world. To me, is what that is.
Right.
But yeah, the past few years, it's very much for me been Comedy Store, Improv, Road, Laugh Factory, Flappers, Road.
Right. Same. I mean, that's where I was the host at the store for so many years, and I'm okay. I'm okay now. It was like 8 years of hosting in there. It's
Give me a little taste of the host. Now, when you say host, did you do it all, or were you specifically, did you do the early one where the lights are still up and people are still coming in, or did you do the late night where it just went on for 4 hours?
I started as the early guy. Mitzi put me at the Comedy Store in Westwood, which was college audiences,
Okay.
and that was a fun place. Kennison was there all the time, and Paulie was there a lot. It was a lot of the college audiences, and I was one of the regular hosts. And then I was hosting in the OR. One of my first hosts in the OR was Letterman. That's how old I am, and I got to meet everybody, and they came over to me, which made me think that's what validated me. That's what made me think I should do this I just did a set with a guitar on, and Billy Crystal sat next to me on the stools in the OR on the back, when you're on stage to the right,
Yeah.
near the cover booth.
Yeah.
And just went, so where are you from? And I was talking to the guy who was on the sitcom Soap, and I'd seen his stand up, and I was mesmerized by him. And Robin, that's being a host there. I would bring up those people. And then I knew that I was in the right place.
Yeah.
And Robin, I met Robin earlier in San Francisco at the Holy City Zoo with Jeremy Kramer, because they used to go on stage together. And then at the Comedy Store, Robin was incredibly friendly and continued to be over the years. But hosting then, as I evolved in the main room, that was the big show. And I did that the last 3-4 years solidly. I was there on the weekends, and Mitzi was very kind to me, and I hosted a lot of the shows, usually early shows. Sometimes I'd be on both shows on a Saturday night or a Friday and a Saturday night, which at that time they started paying, so had helped when you lived in an apartment in Hollywood and were trying to not go on the road as much so you could go audition for things that I didn't get. But I would bring out, Eddie Murphy and bring Richard out, and Mitzi would say, "You're not going on tonight. Richard's going on." And then Richard felt bad and then wanted to show me his car. And, it's like, there's friendships that developed there that I would never have had I not been literally in the dugout,
Yeah,
but to watch all these people. I mean, when you started, all the people were there too of your generation that are the people.
Yes, absolutely. I like how you were like, I feel like I'm talking too much. I'm going to turn it back to you, because I was just tripping out about that time and that place.
I did talk too much, by the way.
No, you did not. Because I was enjoying that thoroughly, because that is, I feel like that was really, the stand-up was changing, and that was that atmosphere where it was being stripped away to like this more real, visceral experience, rather than just the, Bob Hope type jokes of yesterday. But yeah, my time was, it was real alty, and there was a backlash against the comedy boom of the 80s. That was my crowd. You know, it was David Cross and Bob Odenkirk. There was, a Boston crew that was there. And then it was Jack Black, and it was, what's her name? Julia Sweeney. And it was this cross section of the Groundlings. I know Jack Black was an actor, but like he was there in the clubs, developing like Tenacious D. And then that was when Bob and David met, and Janine Garofalo was there. So it was that whole group coming up and kind of carving out that shift,
I didn't know you were roommates with Sarah. I had no idea. Can you tell me a little bit about that? You probably talked about it a lot.
Well, I mean, yes and no. It's our mutual friend Tracy Katsky, who went on to be a big development exec, and she was kind of a comedy person back then. I qualify it with kind of, because she went on to be on the business side of it, but she was in the trenches with us, and her roommate was moving out, and her friend of friends recommended Sarah. So they didn't really know each other. And Tracy was so sweet, because I was actually living with, oh my gosh, I was living in Sherman Oaks with Jeremy Kramer in a random house that Rick Messina was paying for. Jeremy lived there with these two guys, Lenny and Dave, who were from New York, who were comedians. And there was a big lizard in a cage in the background. And there was just like pot all the time, and like Cheez-Its and watermelon, and the toilet overflowed and nobody fixed it. It was just like squishy carpet. And Tracy Katsky was like, I'm going to get you out of there. Like, you need to hang out with some ladies. And it was at the same time when she was losing her roommate. Sarah was coming from, after having not been on SNL, she was making a big shift and coming to LA. And Tracy called her on my behalf and was like, is it okay if this woman you don't know also lives with us? And so they took me in, and they were the rent payers, and they let me stay in the middle and use the half bath and pay a very small amount. I think it was like $200 or something.
That's so sweet.
Stay in their apartment in West Hollywood. It was right down the street from Tower Records, and that used to be there. And it was the best. And I really needed it. It was that time when nothing wrong with the dudes. That was a whole experience on itself.
Well, it sounds like from that place with squishy, overflowing toilets that there is something wrong there.
I mean, Jeremy was the one who kind of helped me make the exodus from San Francisco to LA. And
right.
I love him forever, but I did need to get out of that house for sure. And so I got to have like lady roommates, and, it was wonderful. And I was pretty out of my mind in terms of just my social development and my, I don't want to say brain development. That sounds weird, but I just was like, kind of just like, huh? Like I was very green, I guess would have went. And so Sarah would be like, hey, is this funny? And I'm like, I don't even know like what funny is. Like, I was very performance art, and Sarah was already, in the circuit writing jokes. I was very much like, people laugh when I'm on stage, and I don't know why. And it would take me the next however many years to connect the dots. But that was...
Well, it's vulnerability and it's honesty, I think, are the things that are you, that draw people in. Yeah. And I think it comes out in your acting also. That's what it is. It's just the best of you comes out. Except in the movie we just did, or the other one where you had to fart. But
I thought you were murdering my brother and farting.
Yeah. I bring out the best in you. But Sarah's a true love. She is one of my favorite people.
She's amazing, and I think the changes, the transformations that she's been through. I was trying to think of a less lofty word, but just to watch her over the years and the stuff that she's doing now is just like, I just love her.
Yeah. I mean, she's got a podcast where it's not a soapbox. She's talking her heart.
Breaking it down.
She is breaking it down. And she is an incredibly special person.
Yeah.
Well, Mary Lynn, I really don't want to say goodbye because we're going to see each other. And maybe if I'm lucky enough, you'll do a tour date or something with me if it's something that you like.
We'll make it happen.
If you want, if you bring those drapes.
That's extra. That's going to be extra.
We can do it. We can do that. That's expenses.
Drapes.
You can bring whatever that is. That
And
stuff.
your shimmer curtain is an extra $1K for the shimmer curtain.
Well, we'll probably see each other. I don't know when the movie's coming out. I have no idea. I don't know if they're going to do some kind of opening. I don't know if they'll have one. We don't know. We see what. I hope the world heals as quick as it can now. And I just wish you so much goodness and all that nice stuff you say to somebody. And I'm virtually hugging you right now. This is creepy to do this. That's
super
so
creepy.
Super creepy. Don't reach toward the lens, people. That's just wrong. That's like the character you went into the office with.
Too much.
And so tell me the name again of the Chris Pratt movie that's going to be on Amazon.
Oh, The Tomorrow War.
The Tomorrow War. And I believe it's July 2nd. It might be, I think it is. They moved it up. It was going to be later. And they moved it sooner because it must be splendorous. And I can't wait to see you fire a gun in it.
Thank you.
And then our movie will come out. Blue Iguana or Killing Daniel.
We'll do this again when our movie comes out.
Hell yeah, we will. There'll be a Zoom or something.
Hell yeah.
Damn right.
Tell your lady I said hello.
I will.
Ellie.
And say hi to your son and your cat. I'm worried about your cat. I'm not gonna. You got to watch the special, Lynn Rajskub live from the pandemic, and you'll find out it's worth it for the whole thing. But the cat, I mean, it's a perfect ending. Whoa, am I hinting?
Oh,
all right. What are you gonna do now?
You know what? I have a Zoom show tonight that wasn't supposed to be tonight, and now it is. So I'm a little anxious because I haven't done a set in a while.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, I hope this was an okay warm up.
I think it is. You brought me out of my shell today. Thank you. Thanks for.
Are you gonna same background? You're gonna do the drapes?
Never stop talking about the drapes.
That's going to be the context. It's going to be in the breakdown.
Do the same. We might, I might turn a little more. Might change the light on.
Ring light, side ring light. You could even hold it the whole set. Shine the ring light into the lens.
No.
I like the angelic thing. It is like you're an angel. That is gorgeous because you are an angel.
Oh my God! I just went to heaven.
You did in a good way. You're alive.
Ew.
Well, thank you for doing my podcast.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming to the Cayman Islands. And I look forward to seeing you in person as soon as we can.
We'll see each other soon.
Okay. This is a beautiful, and people, you've got to look at this. You got to go to the YouTube. This is amazing. It's not just the drapes now. You've got to see it. She has literally been deified by a ring light. I've never seen anyone do this. Honest to God. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm...
Just pray, I think.
I think this is prayer. I'm going to take off my shoes because I'm on hallowed ground.
Pray.
Pray. It's like a dragway announcer. Well, be well.
You too. I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon, and thank you. Bye.
Bye.
That was my friend Lynn Rajskub, and you've got to watch her special live from the pandemic on Vimeo. Seriously, go and watch it. You'll enjoy it. And she's got a lot of good stuff coming up, and she's just really special, and I really appreciate her being on my podcast. So you know what to do. You rate, review, subscribe, and or you follow. I don't know how you do this, but I do. And I'll be calling you guys, too. I'll be doing that. I'll announce on Twitter and Instagram Live. I'll be telling you, I'll be calling you. And then you call a number, and it'll be that simple, and I'll check in and see how you guys are doing. I'm sending my best. This is another episode of Bob Saget's Here for You. It's been a year, I think. It's been a year, and it's not ending. I'm never stopping doing it. I'll just keep doing it. Oh, no, I'm going to end this one. All right. Thanks, Mary Lynn, for doing this, and sending you all my best. Be well, everybody.